and the directors, so with the ops report, it looks a little different. We're trying to consolidate some pages, and approximate styles, and keeping with J. But it's been yet again, I'm interested in operations, a lot of work. Space Buildings has been a lot of interesting work. And normally I shouldn't start off sharing genuine distribution. So it's getting us through some of the items that are not so much based on different distribution or departments or more associated with broader things. So first one is the Middle Point Pump Station on the Columbia River. So this is the pump station that conveyed water to the West Point Water Treatment Plant off of the Middle Fork. This is where they purchased through CPUB. So there's a kind of hard to see any images on the left. There's a lot of wash up on the phosphorus. And so over the course of a couple of years, about times wouldn't matter the grade that you took out. And access is really difficult to the site. So the construction crew, the operator up in West Point to clean that up. It's bad. They're doing a great job. It's kind of hard to see, but the grade of that driveway says the pump station cleanup is really steep. And so they're doing a great job. So this is a paving effort. So excuse me, we have about 24 cul-de-sacs in the Rancho Calaveras area that have 2-inch water mains made of what's called dump. It's very portable. And so our construction crew has gone through and replaced a ton of units. And this was one that we replaced recently on the Long Court. It was 325 feet of final pave that we did with our paving machine. That's about a 2-foot wide trench. So this was a job that was completed. The construction crew worked with the utility crew. It's great. There's 10 folks working on this. And knocked it out in a day. So we talked about in the engineering committee yesterday, fire hydrant O&M. Got some fire chiefs here. Great conversation. So carrying that theme forward. We're always out about replacing aged fire hydrants. So unfortunately, you kind of see the image on the right. That's the aged failed hydrant that we pulled out of the trench with the white PVC with the bottom. The image on the left, you can see the hydrant with the magnetized level on it and a kicker for it. And the CC Matt Duncan on our construction crew with wiring and work with his team. And we're pretty happy about the these are great jobs.
Did he have to keep his foot there till the concrete set?
Yes, exactly right. With the level.
Chairman,
Yes.
a quick question. When you did the 300+ feet pavement on Long Court, I know we've discussed this over the years, but are we still coordinating with the county because on their paving program in the
Yeah.
Rancho?
County's involved really from the beginning of the project through small compaction, paving. County is giving the thumbs up on it.
Okay, so we're not working at cross purposes.
Absolutely right. And kind of to carry that a little bit farther forward, we're actually annually, they give us their work efforts for the year and all the CSAs, and then we work around that. And we'll actually ask them, hey, can you hold up on this area? We have a bunch of work to do. So that when they finally come through our service lines, they need to be replaced.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a question on that hydrant installation.
Yeah.
We saw several examples at yesterday's engineering meeting about the isolation valves, but I don't see one here. Was there already one close by?
There's already one there. It's just not in it yet. Sometimes what we call the hydrant runner, which is the section of main from the isolation valve to the hydrant, any 40 feet long. But yeah, this one's kind of not very close to that. And then, so this was a picture that Director Thomas took and provided me. And this was a pressure reducing station in Copper, Oil Hill Road. That was in the midst of a small brush fire. You can kind of see the extent of the fire there. And the first question that comes up is what's the condition of the infrastructure? And this is quite a large pressure reducing station fault. You know, the joke here is that it's like swimming pools. And so this is the infrastructure inside of that. It's very large. I believe that's an 8-inch here. 4-inch coming off the side. Beautiful. And then you can see the ladder on the right for access. So this is one of our larger PRD stations, but luckily the grass fire issues are a recent station.
Did you ever get any feedback from Upper Fire? Can you on this?
I talked to Chief yesterday. I didn't get a call back. I talked to him yesterday. It was so quick, in and out so fast that they didn't have an opportunity to reach out. Here's a really interesting. So it looks there's a lot of noise in the slide, but it's actually focus your attention on the top most trend. That's actually 2 pictures separated by the demographic. Topmost trend in green. So it's a little hard to see, but the image on the bottom is actually the most flow rate of the image on the top. So the image on the bottom is like 47 gallons. The image on the top, you can see that incremental increase of that green line. And so what happened is our treatment operators were experimenting with coagulant doses on reclaimed water, trying to optimize the amount of throughput through the filter. And so that water that they have to push through that filter to the South Creek, Upper Valley Golf Course is really, initially it's full of algae. It's really turbulent. So the one would think that the more coagulant you add, the greater the throughput of the filter, the cleaner they can get the water. The operators through their tests actually realized that they were overdosing coagulant, so reduced the amount of coagulant. And you can see the flow rate, the image on the top, increase. So they're able to increase the throughput of the filter by reducing the amount of coagulant, which in effect increases our ability to lower our storage pump, give more water to the golf course, and actually save money. So this is a direct example of our operators working through the process and conducting tests to verify that they're optimally treating the water and then making adjustments to improve that operational run, which they are and increases the output of the system. So hats off to John Applegate and his treatment. It's great. As always, we have a strong relationship with CAL FIRE. These images are of our wastewater treatment plant. The CAL FIRE crews go through and clean up our leach field. And so you can see the marching next to go through. And in the afternoon, they go through all black dirties, all dry shell. They do a lot of work. They do a great job. So our treatment operator goes in the morning, picks up all of the meat eaters, the fuel tanks, anything they might need from the fire camp, and he deposits them. So they're not. So there's a lot of coordination that goes on between Ron Rose, who's a senior wastewater treatment operator up on his pass in the CAL FIRE. So
You have to excuse my ignorance, but why can't CAL FIRE carry their own gear?
I believe they're just the only thing they can carry over. So, gas powered tools.
Weapons
Weapons
of mass destruction.
essentially they can be used potentially.
Thank you.
And so this is an interesting, so this is an example. Our engineering team working to design a project that is really beneficial to the district and provides some amenities that make our lives easier and end up, making a stretch. So these are automated lights that newly reconstructed lift station that are on. There's a light switch, and there's also a pan cylinder. And if you leave the light switch on, the light may not turn on until it senses that there's no lights. So there's a light sensor. And then the light turns on, and it annoys the heck out of the neighbors. So then we find ourselves going, who left the light switch on? They're getting calls, office is getting calls from the neighbors, and they're not pleased because these lights are like spotlights. They're lighting up this whole lift station. And so kind of to foolproof the whole issue, you know, sometimes the light switch is on. It's like, turn the light switch on. It's dark. Our electricians go out and the lights themselves to reduce the glare and reduce the back to the neighbors. So one of these interesting ones that can kind of keep propping up on causing issues. This is an image from the design for West Point Roosevelt of their pumping system. So as we start to get closer to commissioning this problem, getting into the actual scaling, which is the interface and the operation. So the electricians went out to the tanks. So these tanks collect the wastewater and those pumps pump up. So it used to be a float control system. It's a old fashioned float, kick on and turn a certain pump out. Now it's called transmission control. And so the computer is basically telling you. So this SCADA image is a depiction of that. So our electricians work with our operators to make sure everything's functioning as it should and the water is moving. And then, so at West Point, we have recirculated gravel filters. So they take the septic tank effluent, spray it into this gravel filter. Goes down to the bottom. Say 15 minutes. Timer takes the valve open. I mean, evacuates some of the water. That's the water that's treated. So sometimes these pipes bring the so they work together. These pipes, you can see the image over the left, one of the pipes that conveys that water in the filter. It's broken, it's shooting water from the top. So our guys get together. This is an example of a car versus water meter box. This meter box is a little bit elevated. Check it out. And the meter itself stayed intact, but so you can see the image on the left. That is actually sounds into the meter. And same as meter box, still intact. And then the image below that is the top of the meter, which is a blue box that has the digital readout on it. It's just disintegrating. And the image on the right is the box itself. So this is a full replacement of the water meter box. And then here's an example of the riser. So it's kind of hard to see. The image on the right, you see the meter kind of up at the top of the image. And then what's called a riser, bottom meter. So this is when you have a service line that's really deep. Stack meter box on top of meter box and install a riser. And it's a set of pipes that actually begin the meter up so that you can work. A leak happened down below in that second box. So our guys can't say any great things about the work that they're able to do. So the image on the right just kind of shows you the after how that's in the thing. The meter's coming down after the trace necessitates the. So now here we are in Rancho Colorado. So this is a service line replacement. What started out as a leak repair turned into full replacement from basically half of the road to the meter box. And the reason for that is the image on the left is the service line that they took out and it's those stainless steel lines going down the service line. So the service line has at least, I think I can see 3 or 4 repair plans. So when our guys get down into the trench, they're about to put another repair plan on. See, there's only 5 of them. Like, we have time for the main pressing, stick the whole thing up. So we still have one utility crew spends all their time replacing our distribution crew and also the account time. Rancho Calaveras again. So this is a connection at pressure releasing station on Baldwin and Man. So this is PRD, what we call them, with reducing pressure from one zone into another. And over time, the components are going to break to shut that system down. So Here's an example of the install. There's some images, and some image on the left. The white water main with no connection there is the trench has already been done. I guess exposed, but then the image on the right, you can see that there's a taps that were installed. The corporation's found for the water services. Here's the meter that installs at the end of that trench. It's the meter installation, right in the backfill, and now the setting. So anticipate surrounding the process of rocks of rain. Baseline. So here's an example of hydrant with a guard valve. To your point, there is something really close, so this is like the runs. And there was an issue with the guard valve and the runner to the hydrant itself. There was a need. So this hydrant had been in service for some time. But our folks were able to keep the majority of the system in service going. This is an image of mutual assistance that's recently took place for facility management. Eric Martinez and people have been installing about 1,000 feet. 10-inch water. Traffic control systems. Something here. It's something like and the project happened one time.
Just to expand on that briefly, sorry, Damien, but that's done under the mutual assistance agreement that we have with TEP. So under that previously approved agreement, it's a reimbursement mechanism. Works well.
We, I think last time you were here, you reported on one that we did for Utica in their parking lot.
Right, under the same agreement.
Is the labor rate already agreed to in
Yep.
that?
Yeah, so we did it, and the one we worked out with TUD was, so we spent a fair amount of time pushing it on TUD in advance, and then we used that template to the agreements with Utica and other agencies. But the way we did it, so we don't put back in the date numbers, we just tied it to those employees' current rate. And so we get, we're able to provide that assistance if we found the staff available.
We create a job tracking number, all of that work is tracked in that job number. So,
Under that agreement, have we ever needed help? Have we ever asked for help yet?
no time. That's the problem.
Do we have a pre-existing agreement with them on that type of work?
Yeah. So.
And did they send us a bill?
No.
Nice.
So a couple of things that we cover here, some of you referenced. They will obviously really out there. It's really it's helpful because it's helpful to see how 20 counties, regional players for wildfire protection and mitigation communicate. This exists in folks from all the different ones that get together and have this conversation. It's also really there's an help to learn from. And I think one of the things that, I took away from this is that public outreach perhaps is going to be the best network that we can have share with our customers about how how to respond to it, so that they don't negatively impact the water supply. That is really important. It's kind of like it's empty space that they all. It's great to see them trying to focus.
How many times did that day did we hear the words cooperation, or partnership, collaboration?
Yeah. Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and Calaveras County is working on the community wildfire protection plan as we speak, and we're starting to see all of the folks involved. So, this guy doesn't, provide you with a visual description of all the great work he does in those, so I thought I'd show you a couple pictures. Say here with Director Robertson, with Senators via Schiff staff. We're out on Ledge Day, looking at watershed resilience projects, forest states projects. Looking at Senators. I think we got a lot of traction in their understanding. So then, ops staff at LHE are Secretary Manager Vito, 5 members of the California Resource Authority to show them our infrastructure. And it was a really great day to have. We have a package truck and we took, I don't know if you're all aware, but the main source of supply for the upper regions of the Ice Pass water system, the big trees village, doesn't travel at the floor, it goes at the bottom, SPI lobby, behind White Pines. It's about a 45-minute drive on the dirt road of Utah with us for the car there, and they were just done with them. And then they asked us to yeah. And there might be 8 feet of snow on either side of it. And they're kind of looking over the cliff's edge, trucks bouncing, and we're having conversations about whether or not the vehicle can handle the work that's associated with getting on the sill. And all the while, it's unknown there's a water. And so it was staff really understanding what space is. And so it's really, there's a lot of great conversation. We have developed kind of some paths forward and discuss exemptions and how to discuss implementing this regulation while at the same time not utilizing. So that may involve administrative difficulties, engineering department, operations, management department, being electric, well, for heavy duty trucks, being gases. So this is, we're at the West Point shop, with this kind of sharing, talking about the equipment we operate. Doug Turner, our distribution supervisor, right there, the image on the right, and staff. It was a great afternoon. They said it was the best tour that they had. Conducted a couple tours in Southern California and a tour with us, and they're heading off to some of the. So this was by far the most eye-opening tour.
Was it just staff or anybody?
It's just. So a couple senior staffers there. So one of them, that's a good buddy, heads up the infrastructure, regulatory implementation group for the resource board. And then we have some every exemption request from any entity process and rest on the tour. And we had representatives from just overall the title was permitting and other sources of concern. So brake dust, tire, rubber from tires. So those things came. So we had a whole kind of the gamut. We have some liaison staff, so they have actually brought staff into. We also have a representative association.
And how do we get these guys to come up to our district? I'm sure everybody would want to take one.
We've had quite a few conversations with them. We actually presented to past board members, actual board members from the groups remotely. So we've been talking about this issue. And So at the Aqua Conference, a lot of work happens. So I happened to be having a conversation with one of the legislative liaisons from Aqua and a member of the Air Resources. So it's hard, I know the church walks up and starts talking to us. So I'm making conversation. Lo and behold, he lives in Goldfield. And I said, well, you know what? You're a customer. We're going to get around. And he said, let's do it. And so this is the first tour, hopefully, we'll become the first meeting again.
It's great.
And Director Gary, Damon's being a little bit modest here, because he has become the statewide go-to resource for Aqua and for other water agencies, and just the advocacy that he's done on this issue with CARB. And he gives the presentation to the CARB board members, side by side with the Aqua advocates to show them just the practical implications of what they're asking us to do and how difficult it would be for the county to do it. It was just taken absolutely statewide.
Instead,
Yeah, and I feel a lot better. Greg, although don't count the chips.
We're not off the hook yet. Good work.
thank you very much, Terry.
Are you ready to answer some of the questions?
Sure.
Okay, in this very detailed line by line stuff, on page 6, there's a item number 32 that talks about a large portion of this month's work effort being consumed by PG&E USA locates. This makes it difficult to find time for other work efforts. Something we can fix that.
It's really difficult. We have in the past shared departments, so we have a department that's, I would say, slow, but has the opportunity to share staff. To get them going. One of the things that we've really been trying to do, so this is all associated with underground. PG&E's working on a bunch of underground schemes. To take the overhead power, put it in the ground. And so for that, they request a massive amount of underground services. So we have experience in this issue with us. One thing that can help resolve a lot of these issues associated with USA is allowing our staff to reconstruction because PG&E has been good and bad. So we've been able to get involved at the reconstruction level a couple of times, which reduces the amount of USA, but not so. And so what we kind of have with our folks out doing this is kind of it let us know if it becomes unmanageable, our staff or do the other.
Director Thompson, I'm glad you asked that question because I think that's one of the issues that we probably don't talk about much. I know we report issue, but it's a huge time zone for us. So I'm glad you highlighted that. Many different things we ask them to do. It's something that we have to set aside time to do. Otherwise, we face infrastructure being on the road. So being that beyond top big, but at the same time, I think it seems to be a problem.
And then I see on the next page that the some individual from customer service did a ride along with the crew to look at the distribution system. Is that something that you're spreading around?
Absolutely. We don't have, I would love to have more time to figure out that. It really does help when they get a call from somebody. Understand and visualize it. We aren't able to do it enough, but we do it. And it'll continue.
Okay, I should have talked to you about this before, but over on page 9, there's a couple of references to the ozone generators at Copper Cove. I thought we saw pictures months ago of the ozone generators being installed and up to speed. And are we still doing work on those?
We're not, so the ozone generator, right, the water quality is fabulous. Some of the plumbing, when the folks install generators themselves, that's slightly, the ozone, as I'm sure you can't have the slice that, so we have monitoring in the ozone generation building and in the filter. And if we send some of the ozone, it'll alert us. And so we don't want to see any ozone. So we call that for that. I mean, it was literally tiniest, but it's all stainless. It's also difficult. Red stainless. So the tightness that it's taken off itself. Basically block back. Yeah, so that works. It reminds me of being, I think success of infrastructure projects. Something I think we do. So maybe, it's nice to be able to see, wow, this is actually, it's very fast. So I think we should do it. So yeah, it should.
The ozone is toxic, is that?
Yeah. Mutagenic.
Can you expand a little bit on the problem we had last week? Think
Oh, yeah.
water.
Yeah, so late last week, we put out a conservation. Request. So we have two filters. Yeah. Right, two different. So the demand is increased. So our operators find it's time to take one second. So instead of just running it and the control valve for the inflow flow, put it into the seat, which is constantly seeking, trying to find out what the flow rate's up and naturally you can't run it because it's going to do this, it's going to disrupt it, it's going to make it foul pipe and anything really with the system. So we spent 2 days troubleshooting trying to understand was it an actuator? So there's a pneumatic actuator that opens that valve. Students kind of think the air is busting. Looking after it. Okay, it's the control line, let's check the control lines. The flow meter. When there's a pressure differential box, it's like a big box, so it tells the air which way to go, and there's also water, so it tells the water which way to go. It's in this famous box, and they kind of breathe. So our guys took it apart, they cleaned all the debris up. Put it back together, get it online, and it's showing zero flow. It's showing show zero flow. So our first step is we're gonna basically cool. We're gonna add 900 gallons of net to our requested flow rate. And we were like, you know what, before we do, let's just get one last maybe there's something. And so you took all of the seals off and shot water through the filter and put them all back to zero. And so it turns out there's a bunch of air between the air side of the diversion mechanism inside this box. It's not this good. Incidentally, so while the operators are working on this, we're pulling out the manuals out of our library, and we find it, looking on eBay, so they have one in instead of paper. You know, this is like for $80. $500. And I was like, okay, well, I can drive down and pick it up and have an electrician sort of take it. We don't just need to do it. There's a controller that talks to you. And the controller, there's only one in China for about $3,000. We're not getting that. I'm like, so we talk about all the other filters. What are we doing there? Oh, we don't have this. So after we kicked that second filter online and got out of the weeds with the conservation request, we're now talking to electricians about decommissioning put them on these inline flow meters that talk with computers to the level sense of the equipment, so we have that situation. That's a day in the life of the truth.
On the busiest day of the summer.
Exactly. So it's like you say, in the middle of the summer, you wake up to take a shower, somewhere there's a screen. No, take a shower. You would never.
But Damon and Jesse came and they tell me on July 3rd that we were issuing conservation units in Colorado. My response was, can you imagine more standards?
So we don't have there's no backups available, so until we get new units or the new way of doing that, how long would it take to put something like that in, if we went into a similar situation?
So we actually have 3 other units. It's not have a controller from China, so we could put the unit on. However, being able to manipulate it is one another issue. So we also have what's called a Flexum, which is basically strap on for a meter, strap to the pipe. And our electrician for which we program the whole system and have the system built in the Flexum flow. That's not. So next time we can slap a unit in a half hour. If it works, okay, we're business. But if it's obsolete to some reason, it doesn't work. We'll get Flexum on, give like that. And that results in a winter time. So it'll happen in the winter time, it take the units and we'll, it's a slow day, let's hit this filter and test these. The ones that work, we'll write good, set them on the shelf. If there's any that are bad. Yeah.
Any other questions from the board?
I just have a quick statement, but it just constantly makes me extremely proud. But now Damon do it, knows how to fix these things and can dissipate. Anyway, good job.
Thank you very
I
much.
met that with Connie, and that was, it was very fulfilling yesterday to hear how the fire chief spoke about all of CCWD, especially operations, and the great relationship and the fact that we have a relatively low ISO number. ISO numbers is to insurance, and is a low number is what you want to get. And I thought we have a much higher one just because of our fire danger. And it's it's the best thing I've ever seen in terms of a working relationship. So thanks for creating that.
The exact phrase was that the CCWD is the gold standard districts in our area. And so, good job.
This is not an action item, but is there any public comment? None. Thank you very much, Taylor.